Good afternoon, everyone. Today we discuss about service sector and infrastructural development in India. It is very important topic to discuss. Role of service sector, role of infrastructure development in related to economic growth. It comes under transport, banking, insurance, information technology, communication, and tourism. Role of service sector, as we know, it is largest and faster growing sector in India, as well as world, and it contributing to the GDP with a higher percentage. It is the most dynamic part of Indian economy, both in terms of creating or contributing to the national income and creating the employment potential. The economy moving from or shifting from agriculture based economy to knowledge based economy and information technology that enable to services dominating to the industry and service sector. The most important service sector in Indian economy, health and education, they are the most challenging sector and a key to development of India. The role of service sector analyzing with the various indicators, as we know. One of the important indicator is that employment generation of service sector. Employment generation of service sector, and it contributes to increase the country's economic growth, or we can say no GDP. Investment service sector contributing to human development. Exports from service sector, which are very key indicators when we are talking about the service sector. So as I said, employment generation of service sector. Service sector has grown at faster rate during the period of economic reforms after the 1991. We discussed the share of the total employment also quite low. But what happened during 2018 and 19, the share of the service sector in GDP 2011 and 12 prices was around 54%. Later it increased. When we compare with the other countries, India has exceptionally low percentage of workforce, and it employed in service sector. For instance, the share of the service sector employment was around more than 75% in Brazil and 47% in China. With these figures, we can observe the workforce employed in service sector in India is very low. Contribution to the GDP, service sector contributing more than half to the GDP. What does it mean? It is contributing more than 50%. The service exports in India particularly grown up to 100 billion in 2012 and 13 to 153 billion in 2019. The sector, it is contributing to the GDP considerably increasing. The another indicator, investment in service sector. Investment in service sector. As the 5-year plan has been started according to the highest priority to tertiary sector in all the plan allocations. What does it mean? In 5-year plan, service sector has given more priority, highest priority to allocate the resources. That is the important aspect. When we observe this, almost 60% allotted to the service sector, science and technology, communication, general economic services, general service. This has given more priority for investment. The another one, contribution to the human development. Contribution to the human development. Service sector particularly, you know, it is giving more valuable services related to the health services, related to the health education and facilities. IT and IT enabled services, skill development services, health tourism, sports, cultural services, which may be enhanced in human capabilities. That is more important. This exports from the service sector. The service sector in India, particularly, generating surplus from the invisible in the foreign trade. When we observe this, India has achieved commendable success in receipts from the invisible in foreign trade. Technical and consultancy services, engineering design projects, scientific research, R&D, which all are the major exports of the tertiary sector of service sector. Coming to the transport system in India, as transport system, it is very important component for economic infrastructure. It is more important. Transportation or transport, which helps move from the people or materials across the different places or across the places. Various type of vehicles that can transport easily with the help of vehicles, with the help of infrastructure facilities. So that leads to transport raw materials, fuel and other inputs related to the rural areas, industries, particularly for production of uh, goods. So this type of various kinds of transport connectivity in particularly in hill areas, tribal areas, forest and remote agencies or remote areas. Okay. So All over the country, this transport infrastructure is there. There are various categories of infrastructure, particularly related to transport. It comprises, as we know, roads, railways, civil aviation, and shipping. These are the categories of under the transport. So railways, yeah. So railways, when we are talking about railways, it is most commonly used mode of transport in India. Roads generally, you know, classified into again different. So here, when we are talking about road, national highways, state highways, district roads, and rural roads. Uh, Roadways, as we know, it is most commonly used for transport in India. National highways, as I said, these roads are primary roads of the country. They connect large cities, big industrial centers. So the development maintains is the priority has given by the central government. Coming to the state highways, the roads link with importance of industrial areas, trade and commerce of the state, which comes under the national highways. We call state highways. District roads, these roads connect to different parts of the district, important industrial centers. Rural roads also there. And the another one is railways. The first railway line was, operationalized by Mumbai to Thane during the period 1853. The railways was nationalized in 1950. The total route length of railways around 68,400 kilometers, which is 29,400 kilometers. 43% are electrified. The railway operate service sectors in three broad gauges, particularly broad gauge. That the distance between the track is related to broad gauge 1.676 meters. And the meter gauge, the word itself it is showing meter, so 1 meter. And the another one is narrow gauge 0.762 meter. So here the metro train projects are also functioning in different places, particularly metro cities, Hyderabad, Bangalore. They can move easily, without any traffic. Coming to the shipping, water transport connects with the help of lakes, river, and canals. backwater within the country. So shipping connects major part of the country as well as the world. So India with 5,200 kilometers of river and 485 kilometers of canals has a vast potential for inland water transport. In India, particularly coastal areas of line 7,156 kilometers with 13 major that were actually started 1924-25. Air India and Indian Airlines, they operate international sector, and also you know in recent years when we observe the large number of private sector companies, they enter into the civil aviation sector as government ended by the monopoly of Air India, Indian Airlines. So it is replacing again Air Corporation Act 1953. Coming to the banking, banking sector, it it try to helps economic growth with the help of mobilization of savings and advances the same to the individuals as well as institutional investors. So modern banking in India, it started 1786 with the establishment of General Bank of India. Coming to the no expansion of bank branches within the country, as we know, in 1969 there are 8,260 branches of commercial banks in India. By 2017, they were increased 91,549 branches has increased tremendously. We can observe with this figure. Coming to the insurance sector, insurance means of risk reducing. Risk reducing. Risk maybe is defined as the situation where bears the possibility of loss. In other words, we can say the risk is an uncertainty to impose some loss. Coming to the insurance, in Indian case, life insurance business started in 1880. Indian infrastructure, the act was first statutory act to regulate the business. So General Insurance Council, a mode of conducting and sound business priorities has given in 1972 General Business Insurance Act, that was established or passed away from 1st January 1973. 1973. There are two more specialized companies agriculture insurance company, and Export Credit Guarantee Corporation of India, which are established to meet the specific requirement where the agriculture sector is required. Coming to the IT sector, information technology, the first software technology park under the NCP was 1984 that assured a simply of electricity, telecommunication, width of that was located in the Bangalore. Software technology parks also there. So this Information Technology Act 2000, which was proposed by the government, the act that provides a logical framework of facilities, particularly electronic commerce and electronics. The growth of the IT sector in India. From this IT sector, an industry consisting of two major components, IT services and business process outsourcing. Thus, communication, the means of communication, it is impart or transmission of information communications that comprises of post, telegraph, and telecommunication. Radio and television, internet also, it provides a necessary information about the the development process. Postal services, telecommunication, transport, tourism. This is very important. Tourism. You know, it is the one of the largest service sector industries in 21st century. One exchange earner in about 50 countries. You know, this tourism, it is playing a vital role in socio-economic development of the country. It promotes intercontinental cooperation. The growth certain, it creates the jobs also. Tourism creating the jobs also. The tourism, when we observe it, voila, domestic tourism, international tourism, these are the forms of tourism where we are talking about the domestic, the tourism itself within the boundary of the country. The tourists are the residents of the country who travel, within the geographical boundary of this country. Traditionally, the people, they use their vacations to visit different, places, pilgrims, different centers, and different historical places within the country that is related to domestic tourism. Coming to the international tourism, international tourism that tourists are, they are the foreign passport holders visiting another country. They visit other countries for business. They visit other countries for leisure. They visit other countries for fitness or wellness, medical, religious, spiritual, architectural, sports, conference, seminars. This may be, comes under the international tourism. This international tourism, the important tourist determines in India, most visiting places in India, we can identify Agra, Delhi, Maharashtra, Odisha, Tamil Nadu, Hyderabad, Kerala, Goa, Jammu and Kashmir. Jammu and Kashmir. These are the very key points related to the tourism. Coming to the 5-year plans, Niti Aayog, the term the plan and planning are used to convey a different meanings. A plan simply means a document or a blueprint which is oriented model. But planning includes a blueprint and effective school, you know. So particularly when we are talking about this, it is establishing the planning, particularly the scientific manner they can choose in their systematic thinking and economic efforts. Estimation of resources, you know, man, material, machine, and money, income levels, mobilization of resources, allocation of resources to achieve predetermined objectives of the country with the help of planning. So, what are the important or what are the importance of planning? See, when we observe, economic planning is considered for all economic illness. Once planning is commenced in, it never ends because there is no end to the high level of goals for human beings. Human beings. So when we are talking about the importance of planning, planned economy, they always give importance to the social gain. Planned economy always gives the social goals for the nation. That is the importance of planning. So, what are the types of planning? Planning under the capitalism, planning under the mixed economy, planning under the socialism, planning under the socialism and democratic and authorization of planning. So here the planning and annual planning, structural and functional planning, normative planning, and systematic planning or system planning, sectoral and spiritual planning. These are the types of planning we can identify. So major objectives of the planning in India plans: economic growth, self-reliance, balanced regional development. Okay, so economic growth, sustained increase in economic GDP through the improving the level of standards of the people. So self-reliance, balanced regional development, and poverty alleviation, employment generation, social justice. These are the objectives. Coming to the Niti Aayog, National Institution for Transforming India. So Niti Aayog, which was established by the central government, replacing the planning. Earlier, 5-year plan was there. This Niti Aayog is replaced for the Planning Commission in 2015, 1st January. It serves, advisory body, think tank of government of India. No, they advise on social and economic issues. That is related to Niti Aayog. So Niti Aayog, the Planning Commission era witnessed center to state one-way flow of policy. Niti Aayog that seeks to generate. When we talk about the structure, okay, as I said, it is one-way flow of policy. It seeks a genuine and continuity partnership with center and all the states. One of its main aim is to make states as a part of planning process. It helps to involve, it try to promote, it try to strengthen and cooperate related to structure of the Niti Aayog. This, Niti Aayog is having major objectives. What are the major objectives of Niti Aayog? So when we observe this major objectives of Niti Aayog, to change the role of government from the producer first and large research of the you know the Niti Aayog. It develops mechanism to formulate establishable and credible. So when we talk about the major objective, it ensures the interest of national security, particularly incorporated in economic strategy and policy. It provides advice, encourage to the partnerships, particularly stakeholders, national, international, like it also provides advice or encourage to the educational policy research institutions also. This Niti Aayog promotes or monitors implementation of these policies particularly and programs, evaluates their impact also. So these are the major objectives of Niti Aayog. So coming to the functions, what are the functions of Niti Aayog? This is important topic. As Niti Aayog, as I said, it will facilitate to transform India into cooperative and competitive federalism. National agenda is provided to the Prime Minister for the development along with the priorities and strategies. That is one function. to pay special attention to the sections of society that not benefiting adequacy from the economic progress. The another function of Niti Aayog to design strategic and long-term policy, particularly the program framework that initiatives monitor their program and their efficiency. The Niti Aayog provides advice, encourage partnerships, between the stakeholders at a national, international levels. So this to offer the platform of resolution of inter and sectorial, interdepartmental issues in order to accelerate the implementation of the development agenda. Development agenda. This is all about the Niti Aayog. Regional imbalances and migration, the another important topic. Regional imbalances, the concept and the theory. Regional imbalance, which refers to the situation where various indicators such as per capita income, consumption level, food availability, agricultural and industrial development. So when we are talking about the interregional imbalances in India, which is reflected in the factors like availability of infrastructure in terms of transport, power and means of communication. So there are various studies which have trace out the path of implementation of the. So here when we talking about the most of them are used as states as the unit of reason and studied cross-sectional imbalances in development over the few time points to the study. The regional imbalances, agricultural development and regional imbalances. Agricultural development and regional imbalances. As you know, when we are talking about the state-wise, Madhya Pradesh, Andhra Pradesh, and Uttar Pradesh, they are witnessed a higher share in agriculture. So when we talk about the state-wise, the share of agriculture state-wise, Madhya Pradesh, Andhra Pradesh, Uttar Pradesh, the agriculture state, Punjab and Haryana, which also supported to the banking, the first and second have witnessed downtrend. Maharashtra, West Bengal, Jammu and Kashmir, they are recorded uptrend. Infrastructural development and regional imbalances. Infrastructural development and regional imbalances. So the importance of infrastructure in economic development and in reducing imbalances within the country or within the region, which is acknowledged by many, scholars. So the availability, the adequacy of infrastructure, especially the physical infrastructure facilities, is a prerequisite for sustainable economic and social development. So here, non-availability or inadequacy availability of infrastructure that poses a serious threat to the economic growth, as we know. Social infrastructure, education is more important. Physical infrastructure also important. Coming to the, you know, causes for regional imbalances, very important. Causes for regional imbalances. So first one is low per capita income. As we India developing country, the imbalance as particularly what are the factors which included in the causes for regional imbalances? As I said, low per capita of income. Per capita income, you know, that tended to be higher in those states where larger proportion of population is engaged. You know, the another one, low level of infrastructure, government willpower, historical factors. Historical factors. Low level of industrial or industrialization. Industrial location pattern, industrial growth, past, which are influenced by early pattern of railways construction. The centers of industrial location is more conformity with Gunnar Myrdal's thesis. He has pointed out that government willpower. Historically, as we know, the development of states, they have relatively more efficient system of government. Maybe in terms of with the help of skills, the quality of delivery system. So history of or historical factors. What are the historical factors? Which a related historical factor that also driving force for the development of infrastructure. Another one, financial support, banking facilities. Financial support and banking facilities. More recent times, there has been substantial decline in the government budgetary support for the financing the infrastructure, drastically coming down. Developed states, especially larger towns, cities, they have major destinations of points for internal as well as the external. The another one, social infrastructure. Another one is social infrastructure. We are talking about the causes of regional imbalances. Public finance pattern also one of the reason. Lack of skills also one of the reason. So what are the consequences from these regional imbalances? When we observe this, inefficiency will be economic, you know, concentration. Particularly when we are talking about the consequences of regional imbalances, economic concentration is, regional imbalances that makes economic concentration because, industrially developed regions that attract more investment automatically. They already developed in operating compared to the other regions. That is also one of the reasons. Unequal opportunities. This is also one of the consequence of regional imbalance. So regional imbalances, they do not attract industries due to backwardness of this area. People they are living in backward areas. They do not have skills. They hinder them, getting employment opportunities, particularly in industries and service sectors. This is also one of the consequence of regional imbalance. Major problem is unemployment. People living in backward areas and seasonally they get employment opportunities in the primary sectors. Other than the seasonal employment, the lack of other employment opportunities is also there. Other effects also there that are the consequences of regional imbalances. What are the measures to remove these imbalances, regional imbalances? That is more important. So resource transfers from center to states. What are the sources are having that sources from center to states? So that is more important. Weighted, in favor of backward states, which is required. The resource transformation, the transfers take place, planning commission mainly in the form of, plan transfers. The priority has given program which is, spread over the entire area within the, shortest possible time. This is also one of the measure. Provision of facilities in the area which lag behind the industrial programs for the expansion of village and small industries, diffusion of industrial activity. So, in the location of public sector projects, the claim relatively backward areas. So, the location of several important projects has been determined based on the expert study, based on the economic considerations or conditions. They are situated in areas which are industrially backward and later will be benefited. There are other limitations also there. A great drawback of the schemes is there are hardly any feedback about the actual physical projects. These schemes are in the field. Although the movement of the funds, you know, earmarked for area development schemes, particularly appear in the large, particularly for the development of outlay per capita available to the less developed areas. That is more important. So another limitation, the effect of individual and transport subsidies remain unevaluated. But when we observe this, crappy evidence available suggests that subsidies, that is inducement effect, only if the basic infrastructure is accessible. Basic infrastructure is accessible. The suggestions for the balanced regional development. When we observe this, increase investment in agriculture sector, develop service sector, provide basic infrastructure facilities, no, devaluation of financial resources, devaluation of financial resources, rural urban imbalances and migration. So rural area, as we know, an open area of land that has few homes or other buildings. So here the rural and urban imbalances and migration we are talking. Population density is very low in these rural areas, as we know. Many people are, they try to live in cities or urban areas. So the density of population is low in rural areas. Urban area, it is very high. Their homes and business are located close to one another. In the rural area, there are fewer people. Their home and business are included in the part. Agriculture is the primary sector for the rural areas, primary industry. Most of the people they are depending on the farming livelihood. Farming livelihood. So the people live close to the nature, unlike urban areas people. Throughout the world, more people live in rural areas than the urban areas. This has been, changing rapidly. Modernization is happening all over the world and India, all over the world and India. Coming to the, migration. Migration is a movement of people from one place to another in search of livelihood, employment, education, and marriage. So there are different types of migration, such as counter-urban, urbanization, immigration, immigration, and internal migration, international migration, and a rural urban migration. These are the various types of migration. So according to the census 2011, there are 454 million migrants in India. This had risen 139 million from 315 million in 2001 census. So the employment related to migrant, which are I'm trying to close.